Good evening. It's 6 o'clock on Thursday, the 20th of July, 2017. Welcome and thank you for joining us tonight for the English edition of Aura News, bringing you the day's national top stories translated into English 6 days a week. The Independent Commission of Qualifications held a closed-door meeting today without media presence, where the chairwoman of the commission was elected. The Independent Commission of Qualification was created as part of the new judicial reform. There were 4 candidates in the running for the position of the chair, and the 14 members of the commission voted in candidate Genta Bungo. The meeting of the commission was held at 12 p.m. at the Palace of Congress. The mandate for the chairwoman of the commission is 3 years. The vetting process is expected to start in September for all judges and prosecutors after all the internal procedures of vetting bodies are fulfilled. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister dismissed today the Provisional Director of the Mortgage Office and the Provisional Director of Prisons, instead appointing 2 other directors. The Provisional Directors had been appointed following the political agreement made on May 18 between the Prime Minister and the Democratic Party chairman. In continuation of his tour of meetings, the candidate for DP chairman, Basha, met with the Democrats of Tirana, Serik and Pechin. According to Mr. Basha, the Democratic Party is the only party that has the morals and values to return hope to the Albanian people. Mr. Basha expressed his belief that the Democrats will soon be the party that will govern the country. For 4 years, we were fighting an opponent who has an alliance with crime. The criminals in state institutions, together with Edi Rama, developed the political project to cover Albania with drugs. It was a political project because Edi Rama aimed to cover his failure in the economy with it. It was a political project as it aimed to control the electoral processes. Just like in 1991, the decision was not dictated by hope for a better future, but by fear, despair and deepened poverty, which were bought from the people by money coming from drugs, declared Basha. He went on to promise that the Democratic Party members will elect their representatives and that every contribution will be evaluated. At the tent, we told people that the new republic is, above all, a new relation between the state and the citizens. Proposals for MPs, City Hall officials and representatives at the state offices should be made by Democratic Party members. The union of all Democrats based on the contribution of each of them is the internal challenge of the party, Basha stated. During his meetings with the Democrats of Administrative Unit No. 5 in Tirana, candidate for DP chairman Edward Selami declared that Basha is determined to stay in office, even after the intense defeats. This is an unequal race and it cannot produce a fair result, stated Selami, who added that the process is in the hands of the Democrats, who on July 22 will make their wishes known via their vote. Mr. Selami believes in making the Democratic Party a big party of hope, but he insists that a deep analysis is needed. He issued this call to Basha. Let's make a serious analysis. What are you afraid of? Let's discuss it. I will keep my responsibilities and you keep yours. Mr. Selami went on to say that the Democratic Party will no longer be a private property without consideration of values. Even those who insist that the party statute should be followed, they did not make any noise when the statute was violated. They are afraid. Can you see where we have ended up? These are the facts, and this is the reality, stated Selami, who once again reiterated his belief that the Democratic Party will return to power with him as the party's chairman. Together, we will very soon win. We will do this by talking about problems and standing close to the citizens. This is the formula. Together, we will bring the Democratic Party back into power and turn Albania into a history of success. According to the Civil Emergency Service, 11 fires have erupted in the past 24 hours across different areas of the country, including Shkodër, Vlorë, Durrës, Elbasan, Berat, Tirana and Dibër. 87 firefighters with 5 vehicles, 40 volunteer teams, military forces and helicopters are engaged in the operations to extinguish the flames. The civil emergency specialists are keeping the situation under constant monitoring throughout the country because the danger of fire persists due to the hot weather. The Civil Emergency Service reiterated its appeal for citizens to call emergency phone numbers if they see any signs of fire. According to the Civil Emergency Service, 1 hectare of bushes was burned in Škoda, and fires are still active in some villages in the area. A significant surface of pines and bushes were burned in Berat, where the blaze is so great it has even threatened a nursing home for the elderly. 5 hectares of bushes and pine were burned in Vlor, 1 hectare in Elbasan. The Civil Emergency Service has asked for the help of Viva helicopters in order to extinguish the fires in Puk, where the blaze continues to rage uncontrolled. The flames were spread due to the wind, and the rugged terrain has made intervention there extremely difficult. The Albanian Environmental Agency today presented the 2016 report on the environmental conditions in Albania. The General Director of the agency, Julian Bachiri, presented the findings of the report, declaring that Tirana continues to be the most polluted city, with high levels of pollution above the allowable standards. Another concerning issue raised was noise, which ranked second in relation to negative effects to public health. The capital, Tirana, is once again the most problematic city, exceeding allowable noise levels by 17%. According to the report, Fier, Lushnja and Leja may be potentially polluted, while Korça has a high level of pollution during winter. The General Director of the Agency for the Environment says that transport is the main cause of pollution and that better management of the situation will improve air quality. The Director, Bachiri, said that the environmental report of 2016 has come up with recommendations in each monitored sector in order to improve the conditions of the environment. Meanwhile, the National Agency of Environment raised its concerns about its budget. The Director said that the agency has operated with a halved budget this year, considering it to be the lowest budget in history. The US State Department has publicised its annual report on terrorism, which praises Albania's contribution in the fight against this phenomenon. Albania was a strong supporter of counter-terrorism efforts in 2016 and continued its participation in the global coalition to defeat ISIS, making significant donations of weapons and ammunition, says the report. The US report cites the case of November 4 and 5 of last year, when a well-coordinated regional counter-terrorism operation led to the arrest of 4 individuals in Albania. The operation disrupted a potential attack on the Albania-Israel World Cup qualifying soccer match, scheduled to take place in Škoda on November 12. The individuals were charged with supporting ISIS financially and logistically, recruiting people on behalf of ISIS and promoting hate speech, further reads the report, which has also positively evaluated the work of Albanian law enforcement agencies in this regard. Albanian law enforcement has increased efforts to counter potential terrorist threats. The recently expanded Albanian State Police Anti-Terrorism Unit, or ATU, has worked closely with the US Department of Justice's International Criminal Investigative Training Assistance Program to identify requirements for equipment and training. As a result, the ATU has developed its own plans and programs for improving equipment, training and development, and is currently renovating a new ATU facility. Through the Department of State's Anti-Terrorism Assistance Program, the ATU participated in training on interviewing terrorism suspects. In cooperation with the European Union and with funding from the Department of State, the International Criminal Investigative Training Assistance Program provided equipment and training to the Albanian government for collecting fingerprint data at all border crossing points. This initiative has improved Albania's ability to collect biometric data on selected individuals at border crossings. Corruption, combined with a poorly functioning judicial system, continued to hinder Albania's law enforcement efforts at all levels. Albania has made major improvements to its legal framework for identifying, tracing and freezing terrorist assets with enhanced international cooperation. In 2015, the government of Albania drafted and adopted a national strategy to counter violent extremism. In 2016, the government of Albania appointed a national coordinator for countering violent extremism, who is responsible with overseeing the implementation of the national strategy, the report reads. That's all for our English edition this evening. My name is Alexandra. Please join me again Monday through Saturday at 6 p.m. for your local news in English. On behalf of Aura News, thank you and good night.